Restaurant inside College Heights Country Club, 9th Street Grill in Crete, Crete Food Mart, and Subway. Now let's head to the College Heights Country Club in Crete, Nebraska with Old Red 99.5 Sports Director Kyle Mathas.
Test, test, test. All right, there we go. Welcome to the final edition of the Doane Tigers Live Coaches Show here from the Calabria Italian Restaurant in Crete. Thank you all for joining us on Facebook Live and on Old Red 99.5. It's crazy how fast the season has went. I mean, it's almost just feels like yesterday that we did this show for the first time, and we're really stressed out because we had no idea what to do. But look at us now. We're basically set up within 10 minutes and ready to do the show 40 minutes beforehand instead of just 10 minutes before. So just wanted to say thank you all for being so supportive over the season. What a fun 3 months it's been. Just doing these shows, being a part of Doane football. So thank you all who support on Facebook Live, on Old Red, Coach Henry, who's behind the scenes and helps us set up, Coach Bessler for showing up every week and bringing out the guys too, and also all the players that have been on as well over the last few weeks. Well, without further ado, let's get into it. We'll start with Coach Bessler. We'll talk a little bit about the last game, which was a tough loss to Concordia, 55-26. Now the score line towards the third quarter there was a little closer than it ended, a 29-point ending. It was at 16 at one point. You guys were trailing by 32 at one point, so you guys were making a little bit of a comeback there, and Concordia just kind of pulled away with a few just mistakes that were made. But I wanted to let you kind of say what you want to say about that game to kind of preview what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, no. Hey, thanks for doing this. This is awesome. So, I thought. This past week we started slow. We started slow on the defensive side, and Concordia started on fire. They got a couple big plays. They got a couple scores on us right away. We were able to come back, and then they extended it there before half. We turned the ball over 3 times during the game. We had a botched snap on a punt that there was a change of possession, and then. Once we did, the kids, I thought defense adjusted well, and we started getting some stops there in that second half, and we started to make a comeback. You're right, we pulled it within a 2-score, and made it a 2-score game, and we were unfortunate. We had a call that went against us, and that extended a drive and kind of took us out of rhythm a little bit. So, the score is not indicative of the game because late we were going for it, multiple times down in our own territory and trying to give ourselves a chance to keep coming back. But too many mistakes early, too many big plays early really hurt us. So, like I said, I think our kids adjusted defensively well in the second half. I think the offense played their best game of the year. I mean, just looking at yardage and being able to move the ball, we did some nice things.
Well, I mean, you can't sit here and not talk about your team's resiliency. I mean, being down 32 points against one of the best passers in the GPAC, you could kind of say, oh, man, like we can't come back from this. But you guys came back, brought it to within 16, which meant that you guys went on a little bit of a run. And like you said, I mean, your team had one of their best offensive games, if not their best offensive game of the season. I mean, you have 491 total yards of offense, which was more than Concordia had. So it was just a few mistakes that really let Concordia kind of run away with that one. But I wanted to ask you how you thought the offense did and what are some things that you saw that went right in that game?
Yeah, no, I thought offensively we came out with a great tempo. We took what the defense was giving to us. We were a lot of 3-step game. We were getting the ball. Cruz was getting the ball out quick into our receivers' hands and letting those guys make plays. And we were able to get our running game going as well. So we did some good things. The turnovers really hurt us. We had a fumble recovered for a touchdown, and we got to take care of the ball a little bit better. But I thought overall we played our best game of the year.
Well, it seems that Cruz Kerwin also, he's actually joining us tonight. He'll be on with us, but he had a phenomenal game, one of his best games of the year. Talk to me about his performance last game, but not only last game, but over the last few games, because he also came in for Rook a few games ago, led the team to a victory, and then had a really good game last week too.
Yeah, no, I would say that that's true about the position. Cruz, Rook, Gavin, they're all coming along. Their tempo is all picking up. They're getting the ball out much, much faster, and reads are more accurate. And obviously that's what Cruz was doing, and there's more parts to that. I mean, we were in good. Our communication was good. Our routes were good, and our protection was good in our three-step game when we got the ball out quickly.
Mm-hmm. Now, Cruz is only a sophomore. Rook and Gavin are both freshmen. So you still got a lot of time with these guys to try to develop them into better than what they are right now. I mean, Cruz is passing for over 400 yards, and he still has time to get better than that. I mean, we just saw DJ McGarvey, and who knows, Cruz might be able to become that. So I don't know. What have you seen, and how do you think that not only in the offseason but just this week in general, leading up to this final game, how do you think Cruz and Rook and all three quarterbacks can kind of up their game, and how are they upping their game this week so far?
It's there's a learning curve, and they've picked up here the last month of the season, which is good to see. I mean, just with the position, and that's what we should see at all positions, and we are. I mean, offensively, so it's good to see. There's a steady progression to it, and I like how the offense is progressing along.
Well, keeping it on the offense, let's talk a little bit about the wide receivers. We know Jeremiah Payne had a really good game. Joaquin Gutierrez had a really good game too. So did Carson Reimers, a few other guys as well. But JP he struggled getting receptions. I know I asked you this during the post-game show. He struggled a little bit getting receptions over the last few games. He just hasn't found the targets that he wants as a senior, as one of the upperclassmen. But last game he really did well, 16 receptions, 213 yards, and really carried the load along with a few other guys in that passing game along with Cruz. So what did you see from him that went right? How did he create so much space and separation for himself to get those receptions?
Yeah, it's a lot about alignment. I mean, what the defense, how they're aligning against us, and obviously the whole group's got to be together. It's not just one guy. If one guy screws up or messes up his pattern, now all of a sudden the timing's going to be off, the spacing's going to be off, and JP, his routes were really good. Communication was really good. Timing was really good between the quarterback and our wide receivers. So, there's a lot wrapped into it. But definitely JP had the best game of his career.
Yeah, he had a super good game. Now, I don't know if you're going to know the answer to this, but I wanted to ask just in case you know. Was it something with, like you said, kind of the formations and the alignment, or did he kind of see something towards the beginning of that game that was like, all right, I can attack this and get more separation, get more open?
Well, it's more of an alignment and adjustment. Everybody's going to be adjusting their routes, according to what they're seeing in front of them, and where the hots are going to be at. So there's a lot of reading to it. So,
yeah, and now it was a game of a lot of firsts as well. Joaquin Gutierrez had his first receiving touchdown. Frazee Woon had his first rushing touchdown of the season. Talk to me about those guys and just some of the other guys that maybe aren't in the spotlight as much, but talk to me about how they've kind of improved their game behind the scenes too to lead into on the field during the game.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of happening with the entire offense, I guess. So Joaquin's very talented kid, and is no different than we had trouble getting him the ball, and now that's starting to clean up a little bit. So Frazee did a great job. He always gives great effort, and we know exactly what we're going to get from Frazee. Rian was dealing with an injury, and Frazee came in and he ran very decisively. He ran downhill and made some great cuts.
Well, I wanted to ask before I forget, I don't know if you want to comment on this, but do you know the extent of Rian's injury, or is it kind of to be determined right now?
We'll see. We'll see here tomorrow. We know what things shake out like. So
got it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the defense too. There was a point in that game where you guys cut it from 32 to 16, and that's a testament to not only the offense but the defense stopping Concordia from scoring. They shut down DJ McGarvey towards the beginning of that half. I mean, he didn't really get anything except for a few big plays, but all in all, they had to punt a bunch of times to begin that half. So how did the defense adjust? Because we know there was just a few mistakes towards the end of the game that kind of ramped up the score. But for the most part, the defense played solid in that second half. How did they adjust in halftime to take on that passing game?
Yeah, no, Coach Henry did a nice job at halftime of making those halftime adjustments, and according to what we were seeing. Every team's going to come into at the beginning of a game, and they're going to have a game plan against us, just like anyone. And we did a nice job. Coach Henry, the defensive coaches, Coach Barr, and the players did a great job of making adjustments at halftime and going out and executing.
Well, one of the other things that was really tough to guard for the defense was DJ McGarvey, who is super good. I mean, he just broke the school record in career passing yards on Saturdays for Concordia. But I mean, what did you say to your team after that game to try and motivate them? Like, okay, we're not going to be playing against a guy of that skill every single game, and you guys played well. There's just a few mistakes. So what did you say to your team in that post game to motivate them and help them not stay on that game but look forward to the next?
Yeah, no, I mean, DJ's a great athlete, and players like that, they're going to make plays. I mean, they're good athletes. Now, did we cover them the way we needed to? No. I mean, we were making mistakes. But, I mean, they did a nice job of cleaning those things up. The emphasis after the game was correcting our mistakes. I mean, we had too many mistakes, and against a good football team, it'll be the difference.
Well, Coach, one of the guys that's really stepped up on defense over the last few games is Reese Sudavern. I mean, not only can he hit super hard, I mean, some of those hits in that game definitely made those Concordia guys kind of second-guess themselves with attacking him, but he led the team in tackles along with Ty Martinson and Zach Fox last game. He's really having himself kind of a breakout few games, and not only that, but he can run the football too. When you guys need him or need a fourth down and short situation, he's in that formation a lot of the times. So I don't know, how have you seen him develop over the last few games?
Yeah, Reese is he's a sophomore, and the more games that he plays, the more experience that he has, the better the results are going to be. So Reese is a fast, aggressive player. He's a good tackler. He's smart. He covers a lot of ground, and he's playing well right now.
Well, you got to think that kind of is the entire defense right now too.
Yeah, I mean, we had played well. Like I said, we didn't play particularly well that first half against Midland, but they have been progressing throughout the season. We're hoping to take that next step here this Saturday.
Well, not only this Saturday, but into next season too. I mean, it seems like you guys are really starting to figure it out. And yeah, this season has been rough in some points. You guys have had to play a lot of good teams. You've lost a few close games too, but you got to think that the way you guys are playing right now, not only this can transition into next week, but next season too. I know you don't want to look too far ahead, but I'm just throwing that out there just for thought. But I'll go on to the next question too, since I know you don't like to take it more than 1 week at a time. But I just wanted to ask, so in the future, because you're going to have to go up against a lot of good quarterbacks. So they also had a good wide receiver too, who had a ton of receptions. He was up there with Jeremiah Payne too. How do you go about defending those two guys? How do you throw more double teams in there, or what do you do?
Well, we did that. You need to be accurate. So I mean, to disrupt that passing game, it's more than just the defensive backs. It's more than just one wide receiver. It's the entire package. So we've got to do a better job of putting pressure on the quarterback, disrupting his timing, and then the same thing in the secondary. When you have a guy like that commands two people looking at him, then you've got to be ready to. In certain situations to put our kids in that situation and go out and execute, which we did the second half. So,
Well, the final question I got for you about this game against Concordia is that you guys did really well with the pass breakups. You had 8 pass breakups in the game, which, I mean, they can throw it as long as you break that pass up. It's looking good for you guys. So how does that look on a defensive side for other quarterbacks about to play you guys, that you guys can break up the passes that they try to throw?
Yeah, well, we want to continue to get better at playing the ball in the air. No question about it, and that's happening. I mean, we had quite a few knockdowns. That's confidence. That's also, disrupting timing with alignment and pressure, hitting receivers as they're coming out, just disrupting their timing just a little bit. And if you're disrupting the quarterback as well, then all of a sudden you've got a pretty good combination to go there. You're going to go in there.
Yeah, one of the guys that's been doing really well recently is Zach Fox. He was just a freshman playing cornerback. He's going up against some of the best receivers in the GPAC, but he's been doing a good job. But, Coach, thank you for joining me at the beginning of this show. I appreciate it, and we'll be bringing you back up, talk about this Hastings game and this senior day coming up on Saturday.
You betcha. Thank you.
All right, so that was Coach Bessler. After this, we'll have Carson LaValle coming up to join us and ask him a few questions. Up next on Ole Red 99.5. Welcome back to the Doane Tigers Live Coaches Show here from the Calabria Italian Restaurant in Crete. This Doane Tigers Live Coaches Show is brought to you by Heath Sports Shop, Smithfield Foods, Hilltop Fitness and Performance, and Bessler Family Eye Care. So now we're joined here by Carson LaValle. As Coach Henry in the background, you guys can't see, but he's cheering him on over there. So, Carson, I wanted to talk to you. I've been doing this a little more because I feel like it's important to see where the guys go to school before they come and play in college. So you went to high school at Wahoo High School. You just told me that in your final season you lost in the second round of the playoffs, but you guys, I'm sure that you had a fun time playing there. But I wanted to know how you were recruited to Doane. How did they reach you, or maybe did you find out about them and you kind of reached out to, how did that all transpire?
So for me, a lot of it was like schooling. So I'm in engineering program right now, and Doane is one of the few schools that are allowing me to play football and do that sort of schooling. So that was kind of the big thing that led me to look at that. And then obviously just reaching out and then getting a response from Coach Bessler or any of the other coaches.
Yeah, I don't know, was it easy to get kind of recruited by them, or were they really trying to get you to come?
A little bit. I'm not going to lie. I mean, Coach Bessler was pretty excited to have me, I feel like. I don't know. But, no, the whole recruiting process was pretty smooth for me, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, and how has it been at Doane so far? You've been here for about a year and a half now, so how has it been so far with not only on the field playing football but in academics too?
It's been really fun. I mean, I have a great time here, but engineering's pretty tough. I mean, I have a hard time sometimes, but I'm getting through it. But, no, it's been a good experience overall so far.
Well, it's good to hear. Good to hear. I know, I actually graduated from University of Kansas, and those engineers, those guys will pull all-nighters and not even bat an eye. I mean, it's just, it gets pretty crazy with that. But you've been on the team now for almost 2 seasons. You got 1 game left in your second season. How was it transitioning from being a freshman to being a sophomore?
It took a little bit of time because it's a little bit different being a freshman in high school going against seniors in high school, and then being a freshman in college going against some of the seniors in college, because it's just a whole different athletic side of it. Dudes are stronger, dudes are bigger, so it was tough easing into it, but made it work eventually.
Yeah, how is it? So what's different now? Obviously you're a sophomore, but what's kind of different now that you're a sophomore and about to be a junior?
For me, it's just understanding the speed of the game. Kind of worked my way into it. With last year, kind of got up towards the top of the depth chart towards the later half of the year, and then with spring ball, and then now this season, just kind of getting into the flow of things, obviously getting stronger, faster, certain things that just help me out there.
Yeah, well, you're on the defensive line. How was it playing with some of those guys like Briggs Songster, Owen Kuntz? I know Owen Kuntz is having a super good season, but how was it playing on that D-line with those guys and trying to have a common goal of just getting to the quarterback, applying some pressure on him, sacking him?
I'd say we have a fun group. I mean, we have a pretty good time together, and I have a pretty good relationship with those guys, so it makes it all fun and pretty easy to go to every day.
Yeah, I'm assuming that you hang out with them outside of football, and how was that just to be able to not only hang out with those guys on the field, but get to develop a relationship with them off the field too?
It's pretty fun. I mean, it makes it better when you can talk to the guys just away from football too. So it makes it a little bit easier and just overall better experience for that.
Absolutely. How have you seen your game develop over the last season into what it is now?
I mean, just understanding the game again. I feel like going from high school to college, you have to understand like what you guys are doing and who you're going against a lot more. So just getting a more in-depth look at the game has really helped me look at that.
You know, you guys have had to go up against some pretty good offensive lines, like, for example, Northwestern. You got more, I mean, just all those teams at the top, like Morningside and Dort, all those guys. So how do you, like, when you're playing against those super good O-lines, those quarterbacks that can get the ball out quickly, how do you apply that pressure to the quarterback against those teams?
Watching film, you just got to look for some things that some guys aren't very good at, and hopefully try and exploit that on a Saturday. So
yeah. And now you're one of the leaders on defense and tackles for loss this season. How do you get there in the backfield to make a play? I know all of us see these highlights in just college, high school, NFL, all that stuff of guys making moves at the line and getting past them, but I don't know. Do you see something at the beginning that you kind of go, okay, I can attack that? Obviously, film's a big part. What do you see, and how do you get there?
I'd say that again, film, and then in the game, you just gotta go back to what you practiced all week for, and then executing that in the game.
Yeah. How important are adjustments too during the game? Now you see something, and then you decide that you're going to adjust and go the other way, and it ends up working.
It's really important. I mean, other teams are going to adjust too, so you got to adjust to what they adjust to, and then hopefully catch them off guard sometimes.
Yeah, but it's all just to be a step ahead of the other guy, isn't it? So talk to me about your relationship, not only with the guys on the D-line, like you said, but even with Coach Henry too. How does he help you out and make you a better defensive lineman?
He's always honest. I mean, he likes to coach us hard a little bit, so I mean, it makes it fun because I enjoy that type of coaching, so I'd rather have a guy be hard on me than say, get it next time or something like that.
Was that a little bit what your high school coach was kind of like too?
For sure. Just always having that kind of like rough coaching.
Yep. I mean, that ends up helping people more than just kind of saying, okay, it's okay, you'll get them next time and all that stuff. But you're going to be transitioning from being a sophomore to being a junior, so you're going to be becoming one of the upperclassmen on the defense. Now I'm assuming that you're probably a leader already, but what do you think is going to be the difference from one season to the next, and how do you plan on making a big difference on the field when you transition from sophomore to junior year?
I think the biggest thing is going to just be like leading by example is a thing that I try to do a lot, and so I think that for a lot of the younger guys and even some of the guys that are on the same level, if you execute things very well, then people are going to look up to you and be like, all right, I'm going to try and do what he's doing.
Yeah, have you looked up to any of the other guys on not only the defensive line but on defense?
I'd say Owen is one of the big guys. I mean, I have a really good relationship with Owen, obviously, and so I try to be like him and like try and kind of mimic the way he does things sometimes.
What are some of the things that he does that you've been trying to apply to your own game?
He's a little bit faster than me, so I'm trying to get a little bit faster, but some little things like that, just like working little moves and just technique things.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big opportunity coming up against Hastings. What are you looking for in that game? And obviously you say that you watch film to try to prepare for that game. What have you fixed on or focused on that you're going to be taking into that game against Hastings?
Just trying to get better every day at the little things. I mean, it's just that small of a grind almost. It's just trying to get better every day.
Now, a final question for you. If you had to summarize your season, not the team season, but your season, what would you say about the season that you've had so far?
I'd say I started a little slow, but I figured it out after a couple games. It just took me a little bit to get into it, and I feel like I've kind of figured out how to play into the game and made myself a force in the game sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it seems like a lot of guys on defense kind of found their rhythm as the season progressed. I mean, you guys on defense have been playing really good over the last few games. How has that helped you develop your game, seeing the other guys figure their stuff out too?
It just makes the whole unit better because when some offenses focus on some guys more, it opens up things for some of our D linemen or our linebackers, so it gives us opportunities to just go out and make plays and look good.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that you guys are going to look good against Hastings on Saturday. I wish you best of luck, and hope that you guys can continue to play well defensively against Hastings.
Appreciate it.
All right, so that was Carson LaValle. After this, we'll have quarterback Cruz Kerwin coming up and joining us here on the Doane Live Coaches Show. Coming up next on Ole Red and Facebook Live. All right, welcome back to the Doane Tigers Live Coaches Show here from the Calabria Italian Restaurant inside of Crete. We thank them for supporting us and letting us have the show here every single week for the last 3 months. This show is brought to you by Crete Ace Hardware, Citibank and Trust in Crete, member FDIC, and Dent Busters in Crete. So now we're joined here by sophomore quarterback Cruz Kerwin, who's had himself a good few games over the last few games. But I wanted to start like I did with Carson as well. You went to high school at Claudia Taylor Johnson High School, San Antonio, Texas. So I wanted to ask, how did you get recruited to Doane, and how did you come up to Crete?
So I think it was Coach Bessler, but he called my head coach, and just my head coach just told him good things, and really just they told me they really wanted me and about their team, and we just went from there.
Yeah, did you ask Coach kind of how he found you, or how did he find you in San Antonio, Texas?
I know we do recruit a lot of people from San Antonio, so they must have just seen the stats. And
yeah, there you go. I know like some of the other guys are from San Antonio too. Like you were saying, Joaquin's from San Antonio, yep. David Garcia, some of the other guys. I know that you went to school with a guy who transferred last season. But how is it to be able to kind of have that common interest with some of those guys in the team that you're both from San Antonio?
Yeah, it's great. We really have a good, strong bond with everyone who's from Texas, San Antonio, and just being from the same background just really helps us find that common ground. So it's been really good.
Well, yeah, a lot of those guys play with you on offense. Like David Garcia's on that O-line. Joaquin's one of those receivers who you connected with a few times against Concordia on Saturday. But does that help a little bit that they kind of know kind of the Texas style of high school football, and that kind of helps out with your play a little bit, or did you guys just kind of figure it out when you all came here?
I think it really does. Just coming from the same level, it helps. Then during the off season, I was able to work out with Joaquin a lot, so that just helped grow our chemistry. Yeah,
well, you're now a sophomore, so you were a freshman, played a few games as a freshman, transitioned to sophomore. So you said that you worked out with Joaquin. I'm assuming that you worked out with a bunch of other guys too. How did you kind of develop your relationships with all of them and kind of work hard to get better heading into your sophomore year?
Really just we all love to work out. We all love to put in the effort. So that common interest just really allowed us to just put our head down and just work and work and work.
Well, I know like when I talk to other guys, like Carson, for example, he was saying that the transition from freshman to sophomore in college is really hard because it's not the same level as high school, and it's just completely different. And especially at that quarterback position when you got to go up against some guys on defense that are seniors and can read the game really well. How was it when you first came to Doane? Obviously, it was probably way different than high school, but how did you kind of get acclimated to the college play?
Coming from 6A Texas football, I guess the schemes and what we were doing offensively was similar, which is really good. But the biggest difference was definitely just size, speed, and athleticism from the defense. Then really just how they can disguise things. I guess in high school it's really easy to tell what the defense is running. It makes the reads a lot easier. But when they're disguising, it's a lot harder.
Yeah, I bet it is. But it seems like you've done pretty well for yourself over the last few games. I mean, 412 passing yards last game, and you actually had more passing yards than DJ McGarvey, who is the leading overall passer in Concordia team history. So you had yourself a really good game, and you connected with a lot of guys like Jeremiah Payne had himself a really good game. I know you connected with him 16 times. So what were you seeing out there, and how were you able to find those guys and be able to just have a wide vision of the field?
I think it started with practice. We had a really good practice going into it. Then during the game, we were just able to find the holes, pick apart the defense, and gave the ball to my playmakers, and they made plays.
Yep, and now those guys, and Jeremiah Payne, Joaquin Gutierrez, you got Carson Reimers in the slot. You got a few other guys as well, like Darnell Riley, J-Bach, all those guys. So how have you worked with them throughout the season, and not only throughout this season, but in the offseason too, to kind of get your timing and get your connection with them and help that become better?
Just, during the offseason we were practicing. Then outside of that practice, we'd also just hit up the field and put extra work in.
Really? So you guys were practicing outside of practice too?
Yes, Joaquin and I, Brian, John, we'd all hit the field and put some work in.
Yeah, so how is that to see that the other guys on the team, not only you want to practice outside of practice, but the other guys want to join you too?
I mean, it's great. It's good to see. It's a good feeling knowing that not only are yourself putting in that work, but your team is as well.
Well, yeah, definitely have seen your work pay off over the last few games. Now, I want to bring it all the way back to that Mount Marty game. You didn't start, but you came in for Rook in the late in that first quarter, and you had yourself a really good game. You connected with, I believe it was Carson Reimers, I think, for that 45-yard touchdown. But how did you feel after that game, just to see that you were ready to come in at any notice, and you got the call, and you came in, and you made the most of it?
It was great. I mean, obviously we won. That was a great feeling after the game. And, I mean, during the sidelines before going in, I was just thinking, if I get in there, just do your job and try to get a win. And when I got the shot, I was able.
Yeah, well, against some of those really good teams, and honestly against every defense in the GPAC, I mean, I can't even think of really one defense that's kind of struggled this season. All of them are really strong. How do you, when you're kind of on that first play of the game, whether you're at home or on the road, and you know those guys are going to be gunning for you, how do you kind of keep a level head? How do you keep yourself calm in that quarterback position?
Really just trust my teammates, trust my line, that they're going to block for me up front.
Yeah, I mean, with the offensive line has done well blocking for you over the last few games. How has that been, just having a bunch of time in that pocket to go through your progressions?
It was good. It makes things a lot easier for me, and it helps calm me down in the pocket. I mean, obviously last week we did a great job up front, and it showed. Yeah.
Now, coming into this game against Hastings, it's going to be a big game. They got a good pass rush, and they got a good defense too. How do you plan on kind of finding those receivers and getting that timing right and picking apart the defense on senior day in the final game of the season?
Yeah, I mean, just watching film, we've already kind of realized that their DBs aren't the best, and obviously their D-line is strong. So just like last week, we're going to try to block up front and allow me to put the ball on other players.
All right. Yes. And now I wanted to ask you this along. I asked Carson too, but I'll ask Coach as well towards the end. But it is the final week of the season, leading up into the final game, final Doane Coaches Show. So, what have you kind of? I know that you were having a few rough games towards the middle of that season, but from the beginning of the season to now, and we've seen a huge increase in play, in the level of play from you. And your offense, too. What have you seen, and how have you adjusted to become where you guys are now towards the end of the season?
Really just trusting in each other as a team, trusting that my wide receiver is going to run the correct route. And when doing that, if I'm throwing the ball on timing, everything starts working out perfectly.
Yep. Well, we've definitely seen that start working out perfectly in the last few games. We've seen the timing's good. There hasn't been any miscommunication, and you guys have definitely been passing the ball really well over the last few games. So we look forward to what you'll be able to do against Hastings and what your offense will be able to do as well. So best of luck, and go win that one on senior day.
Thank you.
All right, so that's Cruz Kerwin, quarterback. We'll see him on Saturday against Hastings. After this, we'll have Coach Bessler coming up to talk more about the Hastings game, the final game of the season. That'll be Saturday on Ole Red. We'll be right back from the Calabria Italian Restaurant on Ole Red 99.5. Welcome back to the Doane Tigers Live Coaches Show from the Calabria Italian Restaurant inside of College Heights Country Club. This Doane Tigers Live Coaches Show is sponsored by the Calabria Italian Restaurant, Crete Food Mart and Subway, and 9th Street Grill in Crete. So now we're joined here once again by Coach Bessler. We've had Cruz Kerwin, we've had Carson LaValle, and time to finish things off here with Coach. Coach, this is our final segment of the Doane Coaches Show this season. It's crazy how fast it's went. But one more game. What are you looking at heading into this game against Hastings on Saturday?
Well, we've been pushing. Hey, let's send the seniors out with a win. Yep. Send them out on the right foot. So we want to continue to build on what we've been doing. We want to clean up those mistakes that we had this past week, and go out and play aggressive against Hastings and play fast and have fun and lay it out there and play for those seniors.
Yeah, well, they are another in-state rival. So they just came off of a win over Midland. What are some of those mistakes that you talked about that you have to change in order to get that win? Yeah,
well, defensively we need to eliminate the big play. Eliminate the big play, keep it in front of us, tackle it, make them snap it again. They're, Hastings doesn't have a lot of experience. They've got a lot of young players like we do, and create mistakes. More times they snap it, the more chances of a mistake taking place. So eliminate the big play on the defensive side, and on the offensive side, create that big play. We need to get ourselves into rhythm like we have, and we need to eliminate turnovers.
Well, you guys have definitely been doing that a few times in these last few games. Like, you guys have been getting more turnovers, forcing them to some mistakes, and even just those big plays. For example, that 45-yard touchdown pass against Mount Marty. So you guys have been doing that so far, and you guys have been doing a good job. Now, last season, you guys barely lost to Hastings by 5 points. So if you can remember kind of what went wrong in that game, what are some things that you're thinking about doing differently this year compared to last year?
Yeah, it's last year's game we had some opportunities and we didn't take advantage of it. We had the ball down on the 2-yard line, first down, and we didn't get ourselves in. We didn't come away with any points from it, and you got to capitalize on those opportunities. There are going to be opportunities on a Saturday. We just need to do a better job. Whatever units on the field, whether it's special teams, offense or defense, of capitalizing when those opportunities are there.
Well, once again, what seems to be a little bit of a common trend within the last few teams that you guys have played, they have another good passing quarterback. They're averaging 242 passing yards per game and only 80 rushing yards per game. So they actually just put in him in the middle of the season. He's just a freshman, though they put him in the middle of the year to replace their sophomore quarterback who used to be playing. But he's just a freshman, but he's playing really, really good. How do you shut down that passing game? And obviously one of the things is eliminate that big play, but how do you shut down the other assets of it too?
Yeah, you want to put pressure on him. He is a young kid, a freshman, and this will be his 4th start. So we don't want to sit back. We want to make him uncomfortable immediately. Keep the ball in front of us. Let's make him uncomfortable up front with our blitz game, and we know that they're going to throw the ball. They want to throw the ball. So we need to disrupt him and get him out of rhythm, and there'll be some errant throws.
Well, one of the common trends for you guys over the last few games is those pass breakups. So we'll see how you guys can do against the passing game if you can get more of those pass breakups, maybe even a couple interceptions in there too. Now, their defense is pretty good. They got a good pass rush. They got a good secondary too. But how do you attack that with your offense, with Cruz, with Tristan, with Frazee, with JP, Joaquin, all those guys, even those guys on the O-line too?
Yeah, they defensively their strength is their defensive line. They have some young guys at the second level, and the secondary at the third level as well. So it's a matter of timing. Let's take what they give us right away. Let's get the ball out fast, and then we're going to have some opportunities to make some big plays. Yeah. So get them running get them running side to side. Once they are, then come back and dent them with the run game, and when they start coming down to play that short game, now let's get deep and get in behind them.
Yeah. Now, I mean, you say with those younger guys in the back compared to that defensive line. So how do you kind of? I know that you say it's kind of a step-by-step process of bait them in with the run game a little bit and then go deep. But how do you plan on getting Cruz and those other wide receivers kind of out deep on those plays? Do you plan on just going on those seam routes, or do you maybe try to go on a slant route across the field? How do you plan on getting those guys deep and try to make those big plays?
Yeah, it's we're going to use a mixture. I mean, to us, the three-step game, the quick game is nothing more than the run game. Let's get the ball out fast, and they'll start. Everyone will start to play it. And then when they do, let's sneak in behind them. And, Coach is going to be Coach Dixon's going to be aggressive, and we want to attack their secondary. So we need to find ways to have time to do that, whether it's rolling out or leaving extra guys in to block. We need to create time for us to get those 5-step routes off.
Well, yeah, speaking of time and getting those routes off, a big part of that is keeping calm that defensive line that you say is so good, so filled with experience and all that stuff. But what have you told your offensive line this week, and what have you seen from your O-line as well that's kind of said, okay, like these guys are going to give Cruz the protection that he needs to find his receivers?
Yeah, no, we've done a lot better job as the season has gone on with our offensive line and our pass protection, everybody included in it, which is more than just the offensive line. We're more consistent. These guys have played together for multiple games now. We had troubles with injuries and inconsistency with the lineup, and these guys have had the chance to play and stay in rhythm a little bit longer for an extended amount of time. So they're coming along. We can block them.
Yep.
It's not the. We've seen really good defenses, really good defensive linemen, blitz packages the entire year. So that's helped us prepare for them.
Well, Coach, and another thing that's going well so far here for Hastings is that they started the season strong. They were 3-1. They lost a few games in there, I think 4 straight games, and then they've recently just won 2 games straight. Talked to their coach yesterday. He's saying that they're really playing well and really confident and comfortable with that 2-game winning streak. But how do you kind of shut down their confidence and momentum right now?
Well, it's put doubt into their minds early. Offensively, let's get drives going and create some big plays, and defensively, let's get ourselves off the field. Let's create some big plays for ourselves defensively. And get them out of rhythm. Our special teams are important for pinning people down, and that's a big momentum swing. So you got to attack them and take them and put them out of rhythm.
Well, Kellen Myers certainly had a great season in terms of punting the ball and pinning people down deep in their own territory. So we'll see how he can do. But I wanted to ask you a little bit about the end of the season here now. I guess first off, I wanted to ask you if you had anything to say about the 2 guys joining us tonight, Carson LaValle and Cruz Kerwin.
No, yeah, absolutely. Great kids. Young. They've been thrown into the fire, and they've responded well. So, they're developing into good team leaders, and it's because they work hard. Other people see how hard they work and what they put into it. They're doing the same thing in the classroom. So, great representatives of Doane, and they're going to continue. They're going to continue to get better.
Well, one of the things that Cruz said about what he and his teammates did in the offseason was that they practice outside of practice. So, hearing that your team is trying to get better, not only just during scheduled practice, but at every time too. How does that make you feel as a coach, knowing that these guys really want to be better and they really want to make a lasting impact on this team right now?
Yeah, no, that's what it takes, and we've had that. We've had that from the seniors down, but I would say that this group has done a really good job of getting out and getting things done on their own. So it's a great feeling.
Well, Coach, looking back at the season, looking back at the first 10 games of the year, even just the rest of this week too, I don't know, how is it, or I guess from what you can see, what are some things that you guys think you could have done differently, and what are some things that you guys think you really did well?
Well, I think, differently, we were really affected with injury throughout the year. Sporadically, there were times that we had a lot of people in and out. That's kind of hard to, some years you have some injuries and some years you don't.
Yep.
This was one of those years that we did, unfortunately. Definitely as a team, what could we do better? The turnovers, that both sides, being a better turnover ratio team, the big plays, and taking advantage of opportunities. We've had a lot of opportunities over the year, and we've taken some care of some, or we've taken advantage of some, and we haven't taken advantage of some. So we need to get better, as a team there. Things that we've done well this year is I think there's been steady development with our kids. It's skill, at certain positions, really at all positions, we're getting better. The other thing that I'm proud of is it's been a tough year. I mean, it's a struggle, but I got to commend the kids that they've done a great job of keeping their head on the shoulders, fighting, playing with energy, the things that we can control. I think they've done a really good job of doing that.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things that I've noticed throughout the season is that despite your guys' record, you guys are always the loudest guys on the field, not only during the game on the sideline, but also in the pregame. You guys are always yelling the loudest, which I bet teams don't expect to see that when they're playing you guys. That's just impressive to see that you guys are keeping your head up like that, and it just shows how tight-knit group that these guys are too. But Coach, final question. Now this is the last show, and you've been a part of this show every single week. How do you think it's went, and how has it been just being able to interact with the fans, getting the players to come on too, and reaching people from different states? I mean, I know there was a person from Oklahoma one time. There was people from different states watching this show.
Yeah, no, I think it's been a tremendous opportunity. It's been really good for the program. It's going to have an effect on recruiting. It affects our current players. It gives people the chance that love Doane football to tune in each week, and wherever they're at, they can stop in and get a little Doane football fix. Yep. So I think it's been tremendous. It's been getting better, and I expect it to do the same in the future.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of fun putting this show together. I'm sure Coach Henry had a lot of fun too, even though this thing behind me broke last week. I'm sure he'll get that fixed up in the off season. But I mean, what a fun few months it's been here at the Calabria Italian Restaurant. And thank you everybody for joining us. Everybody helping us out in the production of this show. We appreciate it a lot. And thank you to all of our sponsors, and thank you to the Calabria Italian Restaurant for supporting us as well. Let's see what. Yes, I was about to get to that. Let's see. So, wanted to mention that we will have a show in a few months on February 7th, Wednesday, February 7th. We'll have our next show, which is signing day. So that'll be a big day. That'll be in the off season. So, Coach, is there anything you want to say about that show and on February 7th?
No, we're excited to do it. We'll have a little time off here, and we'll get into our recruiting season, and we're excited to have this show on the 7th.
All right. Well, don't miss Doane football this Saturday at 1 p.m. from Crete, Nebraska, Senior Day. Doane going up against Hastings to end the season at 1 p.m., 12:30 pregame on Old Red. And don't miss February 7th. Wednesday, February 7th is signing day, is our next show. So thank you to Cruz and Carson for joining us tonight, and thank you for Coach joining us every single week along the way. And thank you all of you watching at home. We appreciate everybody who supported us along the way. That will do it for our final Doane Tigers Live Coaches Show. We will not be here next Wednesday, so if you're going to tune in, you're not going to see the live stream. We'll see you on Saturday. Thank you for joining us throughout the season. I'm Kyle Mathas signing off and saying good night from Crete.